Hey, what's up, you guys? Johnny Bean here, and very special show, you guys. So make sure you smash that subscribe, smash that thumbs up, and we're live on YouTube, we're live on Twitch, we're live on Facebook, we're live on X. So let's do this, you guys. Let's do a show. Here we go. Yo, what's up? We're back.
Hello, everybody.
Part 2. Look at this. Johnny Bean here. Ron Gunner is here. Ron,
Hello, everybody.
good to see you way over there.
Yeah. Hi.
Usually you're right next to me.
But in between us, wait this way. In between us, we have an icon.
Yes.
Bob
Bob Daisley.
Hello.
Dude.
And Amanda makes us all look good. So
Amanda's here.
She makes us look bad and her look good.
There you go. Amanda is here. And Amanda, who is our other special guest today?
Jack Moore. Jack.
Hey guys.
Jack.
Hello,
Nice to
Jack.
be on. How you doing?
Hey, good to hear you. By the way, this is a podcast. So if you guys aren't watching, you know, we've got a few squares here, and it's kind of like what's that Hollywood Squares?
Yeah.
Hollywood
Oh, yeah.
Squares kind of. You know.
You're
Cool.
not square.
Yeah. So let's make this a real show. We got to say hello to the top tier of channel members here on Johnny Bean YouTube channel. Channel membership, it's a great way to help support the channel and support these shows. And the top tier are the executive producers. They are currently Sherman Callahan, CC, Nova 9, Michael Smith, Music Therapy Laz, R-Habs, Warlag, Fairfield Guitar Co., Majestic PB, and J Cat, Michael B., and of course, Janice Lala, the intern. There you are, Janice. We see you. There you go. So channel membership, you guys, if you'd like to help support the channel in these shows. So you guys, let's do this. I know, Jack, you have limited time here, so let's start. Amanda, do we have any questions already for Jack or
I think Jack should tell us about what he's been up to within the past couple of years, just an overview of everything. We'll give him the floor.
Well, okay, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, basically, I've been doing like a lot of different projects really that range from like, oh man, it's like a lot of different styles going on there. I have my Smith Lila Moore project, which is actually it's based out in California, kind of spans across Atlanta, and then I'm in Europe. And we started that project a long time ago. Like, it's with Andrew Smith, who I met in LA, and Tyler Lyle, who's in Atlanta, and he's a part of the Midnight, who are like a synthwave kind of 80s band now, doing really good.
nice?
And we kind of try and make that work transatlantically as much as we can. Like, we're still writing at the moment, getting ready for a new EP. And at the moment I'm out in Poland, like I'm just doing a little tribute thing from my dad at the moment. Like, strangely, like we actually get like a lot of shows out here in the eastern side of Europe. So I'm currently going through some shows out on this side, and paying a bit of a tribute to my dad. And I
Do
suppose that
people
leads
know
us
who your dad is or was?
yeah,
some
so
of them probably
my dad is Gary Moore. So yeah, he's most
Nice.
famous, I suppose, for his guitar work. Yeah, he really was one of the best ever
Sure
at
was.
what he did, and he's very, very missed in the music world. And I'm trying to just bring a little piece of that to to maybe like a new generation, and also like pay tribute to the people that saw him as well, and try and do that as much justice as possible, as difficult as that can be sometimes, because he really was one of a kind. And But yeah, I suppose that brings us to the next point. Yeah, like Amanda and I started talking a while back about paying tribute on an album to Dad, and yeah, we've been gathering people together to do a album and record. Yeah, some of his songs, and it's going to be really special. I can't really mention who we've got to be a part of it, but it's going to be. Yeah, we've got some pretty amazing people. Like, yeah, obviously I can say Bob is involved, and we're like, it's going to be amazing having him on board. And we've already started with a few of the things. So yeah, that's pretty imminent. Like we're getting going with that, and it's going to be a really exciting thing to be involved in. We've got some really special people there, so that is definitely going to be a cool thing coming up in the next few months. And yeah, we'll keep you posted on that one.
Can't wait to hear that.
Right on, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we can't wait. Very cool. Yeah. Let's see. We got some people in the chat here. Let's say hello. Music Therapy Laz is here. He's saying hello to Amanda.
Hi, Laz.
Laz, there's more of us here than just her.
Yeah, Laz, I'm over here. Yeah. We had a crazy stream last night where Laz went into a donut shop. Did you hear about this, Amanda?
No, but I'm sure
Laz-
my uncle is watching.
I think he was, yeah. He went to a donut shop and he was gonna get donuts, and the guy selling the donuts, he didn't like that Laz was filming. So Laz is like, is anybody working here? The guy's like, I'm over here. But he wouldn't come out. So Laz is like, the guy's mad at me, so I gotta leave. It was kind of a weird thing. Anyway,
He's trying to
thank you, Laz, for the wine. I'm thanking Laz for the wine.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
He got me Randy Rhoads wine, so it was actually for Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second in line.
Yeah,
that's why they're separated. That's why Ron's all the way over there.
And we were going to try to get the guy at the donut shop to do a channel ID for Johnny. And he was like, he got really mad. He's like,
he wouldn't do it. That's okay. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. Bob and Jack, before you guys leave, can I get channel IDs from you guys? I totally forgot to do that last time.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
What do you want me to say?
Cool. Oh, just say, hey, this is, and say your name, and say that you're watching Johnny Bean TV.
Hey, this is, say your name.
There you go.
This is Bob Daisley, and you're watching Johnny Bean TV. Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Janice, clip that. Actually, I can clip that right here. There we go. Clipped. There we go. And then, Jack, could I get one from you too?
Of course, yeah. This is Jack Moore, and you're watching Johnny Bean TV.
Thank you so much.
thank you, guys. Yeah,
Actually, Amanda, I need one from you too.
I've been on your show how many times?
That's okay.
I know.
I am the show.
I keep forgetting.
No. Wait. I have to say hi to my uncle. He's here. Okay, that's it.
Can you say hi to him and say that you're watching Johnny Bean TV?
Hi, Uncle Ray. All right. This is Amanda Peters. Oh wait, do you want me to start over again?
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
This is Amanda Peters, and you're watching Johnny Bean TV. Not as cool as when Michael Anthony did it, so that's okay. Or Bob, so it's fine.
Oh.
I haven't moved up to bass player yet, so.
Cool. And actually, I already have one from Ron. He actually, we got a really. Although
Ron.
you made me erase it though.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Cool. Let's see. Okay, who else is here? Robot Master Switch is in the chat. We got Holly Lewis. We got Victor. We got Martin. We got, let's see. We got a bunch of people here, so welcome you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and smash that thumbs up. It helps out the algorithm of these videos.
Martin.
Hello,
here.
Uncle Raymond.
Yeah, Uncle
Hello,
Raymond.
Uncle Raymond.
Martin. Greasy Monkey. Scotty.
Yeah. Samuel over on Facebook is here. Hey, how are you doing, man? Welcome. Cool.
So I guarantee you there's people in here who's going to want to ask questions.
I have a list of questions in front of me.
From how many people?
I cut it down to questions.
Right.
Just a few. All right. We'll ask Jack first. How did you get into playing guitar, and what did you first learn how to play?
Okay, so it's actually not as you would expect, really. Like I know a lot of people would have thought that like my dad just kind of coaxed me into it, but I mean he tried that, and I kind of resisted at first, like, which is so stupid. Like looking back on it, like I just cared more about football. I was like more like into sports back then, and like I don't know, I didn't really have that that desire to go and like entertain the practical side of music. And it wasn't really until my friends at school like started learning guitar around me, and I kind of got a little bit competitive, and I was like, you know what, I can do this, and I'm gonna get better a lot faster than you guys. So that kind of, I was like, okay, like I've got a bit of inspiration now to like get involved, because they were like, oh, I can play Enter Sandman. I was like, okay.
How old were you then?
I was about 14, 15.
Right.
So this is like way later than you'd expect. I think I seem to remember like having a guitar in my hand when I was about like 5 or 6 or something, but obviously you don't really like play it. You just kind of, I don't know, wreck it. But yeah, it wasn't until about 10 years later that I started taking it seriously. And the first thing I learned was Californication, like nice and simple.
Nice.
Yeah, and I like from there I was listening to a lot of Chili Peppers, and then from there I discovered Hendrix, and that was like kind of that took me to the next stage, I think, because I kind of started getting really obsessed with Jimi Hendrix, and
Mm-hmm.
and I remember my dad was like, "Oh yeah, you know what? Like you could have picked the worst teacher there." So yeah, stick with that one. And yeah, I just obsessed with it. Like, you know, I would go, um,
But
I
Gary
would just go
loved
up and
Henry.
like just learn everything. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. That's what I'm saying. He was like you know, you could get a lot worse teacher than
Oh, I
Hendrix.
see. Right. Okay. I
Yeah,
misunderstood.
yeah, like, cause you know, there were some bands I was listening to. Like, I think he was a little bit more discerning than me, as far as like having a guitar like tutor, like like someone to listen to inspire you. Like he was a lot more discerning than I was back then. I was
Right.
listening to a lot of like metal and whatever, and there were like a few guitarists that he didn't maybe appreciate as much as I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
say no
Yeah.
more, but I won't go into
I
names or
know.
anything. But
Well,
bite my tongue.
I know someone in the chat will want to ask you, so I'll ask for him. What was the
Oh
first
God,
Thin Lizzy
God.
song you learned?
First Thin Lizzy song. Oh, that's a good question. Oh, I know. Yeah, it would be Jailbreak for sure.
There you go.
Yeah, real nice and simple. Yeah, like it's funny. Like Dad wasn't on that at all, but like he knew that there were like some real great Thin Lizzy ones that are kind of like beginner kind of stage, and that was one that I could like play along with, like from from the beginning. So that was cool.
I knew someone would want to ask that, so I figured I'd do it for him.
For sure. But yeah, there's a lot of Lizzy stuff, like especially like when he became involved that yeah, I don't think I could play even now. You're getting into like the Black Rose album, like it becomes a little bit more daunting. But yeah, like such an amazing like an amazing album, like guitar wise. It's so groundbreaking with the dual harmonies and everything. It was so influential. And I really think like that kind of paved the way for bands like not necessarily like in a hugely influential way, but like that dual guitar thing, Metallica really embraced that, and yeah, as far as I can recall, I think like Lizzie are one of the first to really make that sound their own. So yeah, they're hugely inspirational band.
Very good. Yeah,
Good
I mean, just classic. I mean, groundbreaking.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I think Lizzie at
guitar
the time
tones.
were actually underrated. I think they should have been way bigger than they actually were.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
And Gary
Yeah,
was
I
sort of
wonder
in
what would
and out
happen.
of the band, wasn't he?
Yeah. So like it's crazy. He only like really did like one album.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Black
didn't really
Rhodes one.
have a lot of time there. But yeah, really special album nonetheless.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a good question. You guys see that?
What?
Robot Master Switch on YouTube is saying, "What's Jack's favorite guitar at the moment? What is he picking up right now? A Strat?"
Right now, actually no, I'm kind of I'm in my Les Paul phase, which I have been for a long time now. I just kind of think for me, it's just like it's probably the most well-rounded guitar, and in the way that you can just really make it sound like you. Whether that's in like a clean way or you get like an overdrive, like I feel really grounded with the Les Paul. Like, my first guitar was a Strat, and I love that. Like, but the thing is with the Strat, it kind of makes you play in a certain kind of way. If I've been playing a Les Paul for a long time and then I go to a Strat, like I stop playing like really Hendrixy, and I go back to those kind of days, which is it's cool to explore. But I kind of feel a little bit more like myself when I have a Les Paul in my hand. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Les Paul.
There you go.
Cool.
What was the first guitar your dad got you?
It was a Strat actually.
Uh-huh.
And man, he would kill me if he knew what happened to that Strat. And I still do not forgive myself for this.
Why? What happened to it?
I played a show one night, and it was kind of ritualistic of the band I was in at the time. It was like a college band that we would all drink tequila before we went on stage. And in this instance, I think like we might have had a few too many. And after the show, I remember I got a cab home, and I made it home, but my guitar did not. And I forgot that I left my damn guitar in the back of a cab. So someone has that guitar. So if you're listening,
yeah, please return it.
It may have been 20 years, but
text the number
not
below.
So attached to it, just text the number below and get in touch. I wouldn't mind getting that back. Nice little reunion, make that happen for me.
What color was it, and what year?
Shot. It was a turquoise Strat. I think it was from about 2002, I believe. Yeah, an American turquoise Strat. Yeah, it would have been in the Brighton vicinity in England. Somewhere. Yeah, if you're a generous cab driver, just get in touch and make a dream come true.
Yeah, because it's a cab driver that has it.
Yeah, it's the cab driver. Yeah, he's not gonna tell anyone. Like that's long gone.
Oh man.
I do wonder where it is. I hope it's got a good home.
Might have been right next to Paul McCartney's bass.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Let's see. Holly's got a question for Bob.
Let's see. Holly Lewis, question for Bob. Was he at the Nashville gig when Ozzy slept in the wrong hotel room, didn't make the gig, and Van Halen was the opening act?
No, I wasn't on that tour.
I think that was Black Sabbath.
That was early. That was
like 78.
Yeah, that would have been Sabbath.
Don't ask me how I know this.
Well, if Van Halen was opening up.
Yeah.
if Van Halen was opening up, that would have been Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been Geezer Butler with the original Sabbath lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I have a question for Bob.
Yes.
What are the lyrics that you're most proud of?
It's a good one.
Well, there's a question.
Put you right on the spot there.
Yeah. Well, I often think of the lyrics to a song that I wrote called "Demon Alcohol." I remember we were in Santa Fe, and we were writing for No Rest for the Wicked, and Ozzy's whole demeanor was quite often based on alcohol, and we were out at dinner, and I just happened to say to Ozzy, I said, we haven't got a song about, because he always had that problem, the drinking problem. And I said, we should have a song called Demon Alcohol. So I wrote the lyrics to Demon Alcohol just about really the alcohol problem with anybody. No one specific, but I like what I did in that. Well, most of the lyrics I wrote, I'm proud of, and I like. But that one quite often comes to mind, Demon Alcohol. Whose question was that? Was that
Assist
yours, Amanda,
the
or
person.
on behalf of someone?
On behalf of a man named Jack Hughes from
Uh-huh.
Facebook. So,
Right, okay.
yeah. Let's see, what else is there?
Hey, GSM, welcome.
He likes that song.
Yeah, Dan Gorman. Hey, man. Good to see you guys. Let's see.
Bob, what do you think of the process? Like that song, like specifically, did you write? Were you drinking while you were writing it?
No, not at all. No, if I was
Was there
writing
like
lyrics or even just co-writing music, we never ever drank anything.
really? Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah. I mean,
Like,
we drank in our time off or our downtime sort of
sure.
thing, and loosened
Was that
up.
like a conscious decision, like that you would take? You're like, okay, let's get serious now. No drinking. Let's try
Oh yeah.
something great.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, we didn't even say that. It was just a given kind
you
of
just
thing.
for
It was
sure.
like,
That's
and
interesting.
and when I was on the road with Gary too, we were all very strict. If we had a gig the
Wow,
next night, no one got drunk the night before, and
sure.
that was always frowned upon. I mean, there's a story in my book where Gary and I get blasted, totally wiped out the night before a show. But that was an exception, not the rule. Normally anybody, we'd have a few drinks after a show, even if we had a show the next night.
Yeah,
But that was it, a few. But nobody
yeah,
got
completely.
blotto the night before a show.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I mean, people have this like conception that when you're on tour, you just get blackout every like after every show. It's not like that. You're really doing yourself
Oh
like a
yeah, you
world
have
of
to be
injustice if you
professional.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah, you have to be
it's just gonna be
professional. You have to
hell
be
the next day.
reliable. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Bob, there's two
Um,
questions in the chat. One's really simple for you, and one
Yeah.
might be an interesting answer.
All right.
One is from Martin, and I mean, he said, I have a question for Bob. Did you
Yes.
play on Blizzard of Oz and Diary of Madman albums?
Yeah, of course, all of it,
And
every note,
he wrote the words to them too.
and I co-wrote music, and I wasn't just a lyricist. I did write all the lyrics, but I did more than that. There was music as well. So it was a similar situation with all the guitarists that I worked with, whether it was Zach or Jakey Lee or Randy or whoever. We'd sit on a chair each opposite each other and work out music first, and then quite often it was the guitarist, whether it was Randy or Jake or Zach or whatever, had the basic riffs to start with, or chord progressions, or a song idea.
That
And
that
then
kind of leads us into the second question. It's from
yeah.
GSN Scotty. He said, "What was special to Bob that he holds dear about working with Randy?"
Well, all of it, really. I mean, from the first time that Randy and I played together, we met in Jet Records in Gloucester Place in London when Randy was first flown over, and we caught a train up to Ozzy's, and Ozzy had a little sort of rehearsal studio built integrally on his house, and we rehearsed there and played there and started writing there and started auditioning drummers there. But that very first day, um, after the first little jam, I mean, it might have been 20 minutes or whatever it was, Randy and I looked at each other and we said it simultaneously, just right at the same time. We said to each other, "Oh, good playing," or "I like your playing," or something like that, something along those lines. And we both said the same thing at the same time to each other. So from then on, it was, it just clicked. It was obviously going to work, and we all got on great together. It took us forever to find the right drummer. We auditioned about 40 odd drummers, and Lee Kerslake was the last one to audition. And then Jet Records wanted us to go into the studio with a session player, somebody like maybe Cozy Powell, just to do the album. And we said, we want the final member. This is a band. We want the band members, not somebody just playing as a guest or whatever. And then Lee Kerslake was the last person that we had to audition, and he worked out perfect. As soon as he started playing, Randy and I looked at each other and thought, "Oh, where's he been?" And we finally had our final piece of the puzzle. But between Randy and myself, it was musically great. Well, we got on personally very well as well. We used to go out and go to the movies. The first time I ever saw Life of Brian was with Randy in 1979 at the cinema on Edgware Road in London, just near his hotel. Mm-hmm.
So there you go, Scotty.
Very cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Let's see. Victor is saying the lyrics are fantastic. You can't kill rock and roll.
Yeah, you can't kill rock and roll.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was Ozzy's title, and quite often he'd have a title, and I'd think, well, what am I going to write this about? And it was really about the music business and management and record companies and that sort of thing in that particular song. How the artist is manipulated and leave me alone, don't want your promises no more. It's just that they promise you the world and you get shit on, and that's what happened to me and Lee anyway. So there you go. It was prophetic.
So did you guys write, like, how much were you writing, for the albums? Like, let's say before a tour and on tour, were you just constantly writing songs?
Which are you talking about? Anybody specifically, or in general, or
Yeah, like let's say like you write for one of the albums, and then like how many songs would you write for an album, and like how many were like left over, type of thing?
Well, with that situation, with the Blizzard and Diary albums, there was nothing left over. We went into the studio when we had enough material, and a lot of it got perfected in the studio. We were still sort of getting ideas together and putting them together as we went in the studio, which kind of expressed a certain amount of spontaneity, I guess. Final decisions were made in the studio, and once that was done, we went on the road to promote that album. And then as soon as we came off the road, well, not as soon as we came off the road, but soon after coming off the road, we went in to start writing stuff for Diary. I already had the title Diary of a Madman because I remember walking up Holland Park Avenue. I lived in Holland Park, and saying to Ozzy was with me, and I said, I've got a title for the next album, Diary of a Madman. He loved it, and he thought it was, so we had that title already. So I remember at the time of writing Diary of a Madman, the track, the song, that specific song, we didn't have a title track at that point, and Randy had a piece called Etude that he'd been practicing with, that his tutor, his classical guitar tutor, had given him to practice, and he turned it into a version of that for the intro to Diary of a Madman. Well, it had weird timings, and it was off the wall. And I thought, well, this would be perfect for a song called Diary of a Madman. So, I put the lyrics together for that. Lee came up with most of the vocal melody for that, because Ozzy wasn't there. We were rehearsing and writing it, and Ozzy had gone. During those times, we were at a place called Jumbo Rehearsals in North London, and when we were doing that, it was just the three of us, Randy, myself, and Lee Kerslake. And Lee had a mic, and he started singing parts for that. Because when Ozzy came back, he didn't really understand the song, and he didn't really like it, because he said, "Who do you think I am, Frank fucking Zappa?" That was. But when Lee showed him where the vocals would go and what they would do, it was all good. And I wrote the lyrics to that, and we had Lou Clark come down, who was the string arranger for ELO. And I just gave Lou a recording of Carmina Burana, which was the piece that I chose for us to come on stage to. That I think they still use that. And I just gave him a tape of Carmina Burana, and I just said, Lou, just have a listen to this. When you're doing the string arrangement and choirs, just think Carmina Burana, and that's what he came up. And that's why Diary of a Madman has that sort of Carmina Burana flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I wasn't there by the time it was being mixed and put together, but I was pleased at how it all turned out. Mm.
Yeah, because that song does have weird timing to it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
it's
It
like
is
a
weird.
7/8.
Yeah, something like yeah.
Yeah, I know that was just. Well, like I said in the last interview, I learned the intro, then the next thing it was your bass line. The way
Oh
it was,
right,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. Well, because the whole piece was a little bit off the wall and unusual and strange, I really thought then, oh, this is obvious. This has got to be the title track, Diary of a Madman. So
Yeah,
I
that's
wrote it
still
that.
one of my favorites.
Oh, great.
Well, now we're getting more people asking questions.
Okay.
I have a question. Oh, wait, I have a
Okay, go ahead.
question.
Sorry.
All right, Jack, what got you into writing music? What made you start?
Writing music. Well, I mean, it was kind of around the time that my dad passed, actually, that I wanted to start um like taking a little bit more control musically, because I'd been in bands before where I was just the guitarist, and I wanted a little bit more creative control, and I had like no idea how to write or anything. Um, and like actually, I was looking back the other day, like just some of my first like ventures musically, and I was just cringing so hard. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm capable of doing something this bad. Like, but I, but I think like everyone has like their path, and I think you forgive yourself like a lot in those first musical adventures you have such a bias like to like I think your brain just filters out everything bad about what you're doing, and it's awful at first. Everything is awful, and you have to just go on that journey and like just make it through as like unscathed as possible, and and hope that something good happens. And I didn't write anything good for like for years and years and years, and like God knows if I still have. But I know that it took like a jump up when I went out to LA and I started working with people they were a lot more professional than I was. Like they were working with Sony, and I realized I had to get my act together fast, otherwise I was gonna be seriously exposed. I was like, okay, these guys are way better than me. But I knew that sitting in with them was gonna help me a lot creatively, and it did. I spent some time like just sitting in on sessions with people like pros that were coming through and learning like tricks of the trade that would help. And I found that like when I went off by myself, I was like employing, things that I'd learned like a lot better than when I was just on, on my own. But it's such a beautiful journey. Like writing, it's yeah, there's a real essence to it that you don't get while you're just playing an instrument. Like like just the guitar journey is a little bit more. I don't know. I think it's a little bit more solipsistic, maybe. You get kind of drawn into this world, um, and it has a different end goal than writing does. And I think like writing, you get way more in touch with yourself. It's a lot more therapeutic for me,
Very true.
anyway. Like a lot more all-encompassing, and you're kind of getting in touch with a part of yourself that you don't normally communicate with as much. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a beautiful journey, and one that never really completes, and it's one that I'm still on. Yeah.
Jack, I got one for you. Did you run into when you were ready to start playing in a band? Did you run into the he got to be great? I mean, he's Gary Moore's son. Did you get any of that type of reaction?
Yeah, yeah, I still do. I, I mean, yeah, that's always going to be something that's around, It's going to be, I suppose, like a recurring theme, forever. As long as people know who my dad was, then it's going to be something that keeps happening. But I don't think I was really like hyper aware of it when I was a lot younger, like when I was like just first getting into bands and stuff. I wasn't really thinking about that because I wasn't like, and I never have like, and I never could go toe to toe with him like in any aspect of like guitar or anything. Like it's never been about that. Um, so I haven't really faced that, and I haven't really absorbed like what it means, uh, like to other people, that like because obviously I'm gonna get like a direct comparison as soon as they know like who I am. They're gonna be comparing me, but like
Yep.
I try not to think about that as much because I think it's only really gonna be a hindrance, like because then like as soon as you start thinking like that, then you have a ceiling that you're gonna hit every
Mm-hmm.
time. Um, and yeah, without thinking too much about that, then you kind of avoid confronting it, and you have a little bit more creative space. Uh, but yeah, like that, like I suppose would be just like a wall that's going to be in front of you every time you try and do something. So it's best to kind of just make your own path and stick with it.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
eventually you'll establish yourself as yourself
Yeah,
as well,
exactly.
and then there'll be no comparison.
Yeah,
That was Gary Moore. This is Jack Moore.
Yep.
It'll be
yeah,
two different
exactly.
entities.
I
Absolutely.
hear a lot of people when I talk to them, they're just so excited that you're playing music, or they're like, I didn't even know he was still playing, or sometimes they're like, I didn't know, depending on how in touch they are with music, they're like, I didn't even know Gary had a son that played guitar. So I feel like a lot of people are just excited that there is someone to keep going. Like I watched Wolfgang's Behind the Music, is it?
Mm.
And he was just talking about like I don't play like my dad, and that whole situation. And he's like, I am the tribute. Like, why are you all mad at me? Like, I'm playing music. I'm doing my own thing. I am the tribute. And I
Yeah.
thought that that was very true.
Mm-hmm.
Of, you have someone like Edward Van Halen who is so original to his own style and playing. And why would you think Wolfgang would go and copy him? Isn't he just going to be himself? And I know we had this discussion, I think, on this podcast too, Johnny, where it's like if you're going to be a
Yeah.
musician, You got to have your own footprint. I think all the best musicians in the world, so as soon as you hear them, you're like, oh, that's that person. It just sounds like them. So why would you want to carbon copy someone else? Yeah. So I don't think you have to compete with him. You just have to go out there and play. That's it.
I couldn't even if I wanted to. So
Not many
I don't think
people
anyone
could,
can.
believe me.
So I have the same problem as the rest of the world, essentially. So it doesn't really
Yes.
make that much of a difference.
Yeah. There was only one Gary
I'm in the
Moore.
same boat.
And
There you go.
Yeah.
But there's a kind, whoever it is, who like it's a little bit of a poison chalice, I suppose, and like throughout music, if you're gonna be the son or the daughter of a very famous musician, there's gonna be good things and bad things about it, and people like the nostalgia it brings, because it reminds them of like the cool parts that they appreciated about their dad or mom or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's cool for them, and I think it's nice it's always great like seeing people develop their own side as well. Of course, I was watching Sublime, and they got Bradley's kid. He's not a kid anymore, but he sings great, and like he's got his own thing going on as well. Like I was like, wow, he's really like his dad like that, and it's really cool to see him carrying on that Sublime legacy. I really enjoyed that. He's like facing it head on, like he's like taking that mantle, and like now he's like singing like his dad, and it's uncanny.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain kids of say a famous musician, that there's ones that want nothing to do with what their parents did, the type of career or whatever. There's the ones they jump into it, but they do their own thing, and there's the ones that continue on what their parents did. And I think regardless, I mean, it's up to the individual what they want to do, and that's the thing when you're when the public they know if you have the name, or they know who your parent was or whatever. That's the internet. Like when Amanda was saying, Wolfgang Van Halen had a very tough time. The internet gave him so much crap because of who he was. And he grew up, and he handled it really well, and now he's doing his own thing.
Yeah. He's established himself as him, not Eddie. It's Julian Lennon, I think, is another good example of that. He sounded a bit like his dad vocally, because that's just his father, but he established himself and as an entity, and did well out of it, and good for him. It's admirable what he did, I thought, because he wasn't getting much help from the estate of John Lennon. He didn't get treated well, and he did it on his own bat. So he's a good example of that sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the ultimate one. Like the son of a Beatle, like that.
I know.
Yeah. How do you get more pressure than that?
Yeah. I remember when I was with Gary, we auditioned Ringo's son, Zach.
Oh, really?
For drummer.
He was around, right? Yeah, Zach stuff.
Yeah. But he wasn't quite ready then. He was a little green and a little sort of inexperienced, and he didn't get the gig. Eric Singer got the gig. But it felt weird for me, because I'd seen the days of when Zach was born, and this little baby being held by Maureen, and Ringo's wife, and I thought, hey, we're auditioning that baby now,
Yeah, changed up the rattle for the drumsticks.
Yeah. But he turned out to be a really good drummer, and he's done well. It's he didn't rely on being Ringo's son. He was just good as as Zach Starkey.
Yeah, I could see that being a lifelong
Yeah, a
issue.
huge plus or a huge minus, and
Yeah.
depending on how it was handled. Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
Yep. What other questions have we got?
Uh, the one I want, I have actually, Bob, it's for you, but it's a gear question.
Yeah.
Okay, Robot asked, do you still have the Ampeg SVT head, refrigerator stack, and the 61P bass that you used on Diary? Thumping tone.
I have the 61P bass. That's been like a workhorse for many years. It's done probably the most touring, the most recording of and all the basses that I have. Yeah, and I still have that 61P bass slab board. The SVT, no, I sold that years ago. So and I don't really play live anymore now. I write, I record, I do sessions, everything in the studio, but nothing live anymore. It's the touring days. I did so much of it. Those days are over, and but yeah, I certainly still play and record and write, and which we shall be doing soon again. More of. Actually, we
Yes.
just yeah.
We
Oh,
just
yeah.
started.
We're very excited about that.
Yeah.
I got to hear Bob's bass on a track, so.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
nice.
No,
Yeah.
No, that's what I
Rob
meant.
Grosser,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Rob Grosser, the drummer that I worked with the Hoochie Coochie Men, my blues band. He and I did a track and sent it to Amanda.
Apparently he's working with someone else too, Amanda.
Yeah. No, I call her all sorts of funny names. It's not usually Amanda, so so we have nicknames. And anyway, yeah, I sent her the backing track and she loved it. That wasn't the 61P, but that was a 55 precision that I had. That's the one that I used on the No More Tears album with Ozzy. And yeah, it's a good old 55 precision. That's a nice bass. Yeah. But I have lots, so they all get used in various ways. Mm-hmm. Samantha, where the fuck did that come from?
Bob, in the last interview, you told us the song that you used flat wound strings on. Which one was that? Which bass and what song was that?
Oh, was it Flying High again?
I don't remember.
Well, yeah, that Flying High again was the exception on the Diary album. I used the 61 precision on all the other tracks, but Flying High again, I wanted a different tone, and I tried various basses, and nothing seemed to be what I was looking for. And then I had a 63 Hofner Beetle bass, an original, and I had that down at Ridge Farm, and I tried that, and I thought, yep, that's it. And it had flat wounds on it, and that's the 63 Hofner on Flying High again, with flat wounds on it. Yeah.
Amanda, you got any more questions?
I
know you said
how
you
about
had a
this?
lot.
Yes. I have one for Bob and one for Jack, so whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. You told me a story the other day about Ozzy recording vocals for Over the Mountain, and then you told me something about Randy, which I had actually never heard before. Do you remember what you told me? Or should I remind you?
I remember the Over the Mountain vocal, but I can't remember what I said about Randy. What did I say about Randy?
You told me how he wrote his solos, which I'd never heard before.
Oh, yes. Yeah. He used to come around and get my cassette player, and he'd have the backing track on a tape, and he'd work out his solos note for note. They weren't just jammed, or he wasn't just blowing in the studio of just doing, I'll try a solo. His solos were worked out because he would do the solo, and then he'd say to Max, okay, let's double it. And he'd double it, and sometimes he'd triple it. So his solos were all worked out note for note. yeah. They weren't just oh, like do a solo. What did I do there? And he knew he'd worked it all out first.
Mm-hmm.
That they were like pieces of music, his solos that were kind of etched in stone before he even went into the studio. So,
Mm-hmm.
which was a really great way of doing it, especially when you're going to double or treble. And that's perfection in note choice and execution.
Mm-hmm. And now that you mentioned that he would double or triple those solos, like now thinking back, that's kind of a signature, sound. Those doubled solos where it's
Oh,
the
sure.
same,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because you could pan them then a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more to the left or a little bit more to the right, or this take or that take or whatever. So and it made them sound bigger and more of a statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
That's such a classic, just classic sound.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I hear it. You mentioned that, and it's in my head all of a sudden. Those
Sure.
solos and how they're
Yeah,
doubled, and it is the same. It's note for note the exact,
yeah,
exact thing.
yeah, yeah. They were all worked out prior to recording. It was just he knew exactly what he was going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Okay, Jack, you're on.
Okay, here's my question for Jack. Okay, you said you didn't start writing music till way later. Um, do you feel like it was just your own passion of learning that got you into what you started to write, or do you feel like, obviously your dad being a musician, do you feel like that also contributed to how you started to write music? It's just like you brought up Red Hot Chili Peppers being your
Sure.
inspiration in the beginning, but do you feel like just obviously your dad being a musician, being around the house, seeing him play, do you feel like that contributed to how you started to write your own music?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think because I was never really exposed to that, like like dad's writing side, like that, like it wouldn't, because I would never be like there when he was like in his writing process or anything, so I never really had that context where I would like have an understanding of that. So that was very much my own journey, um which is interesting because I would sit and watch him play. He'd be playing guitar in the lounge all the time or whatever. So I was constantly around that, like whether I liked it or not. There's no getting away from that. Um, but like with the writing thing, it was a different experience. I had to kind of like dive in myself, and again, it's kind of just a deeper journey into music. Like the more like I think playing guitar was like step one of like a diving deeper into an appreciation of music that I had. And then writing became a further extension of that by virtue of the fact that it's you find a lot more um it's a lot more personal journey, like with an actual, like writing a song yourself is you really have to make yourself a little bit more vulnerable than just playing an instrument, and it's just a journey you go down. And until I was really around like other writers, like like professionally, like I never really like understood like the path, or nor did I have the enthusiasm uh to really go into that seriously. But once I was exposed to it, it became like a like way more of a passion, and the more like I was around that, the more I loved it, and the more I wanted to be a part of that, and the more I wanted to kind of prove myself that I could do that too. So it's like the competitive element's always been like a real part of driving me forward. Like uh the more I see other people doing, like, and I see how good someone is, then I appreciate the finer elements of that, and I kind of want to, like, yeah, that's what kind of took me to the next level, and wanted to, yeah, I wanted to prove myself like that. And yeah, writing is like a really deep journey, and you really have to throw yourself in and just be vulnerable, and yeah, it's just another thing that you can never stop learning. You know, it's just such a beautiful path, and like I know that like looking back then, I was like, I would listen to like lyrics and I'd be like, wow, like that is just something I could never even dream of leaving in a song now. You know, like I like to take a lot more care in my lyrics, for example, because um, yeah, you're telling a story, and I like to think that when you're writing lyrics, you know, if you spoke those words to someone, like what would their reaction be? You know, like if you can't like read a song back, like, and if you read it back and you just cringe and you're like, wow, what does this mean? If it makes no
Hmm.
sense without like a without melodic context, and I don't think it's a good song. You know, like you want to be able to read something at face value and think, wow, that's got like a real deeper meaning and a context to it. But yeah, looking
You
back, like yeah, I like to think that I improved like lyrically and melodically a lot since back then.
Well, don't ever feel ashamed about when you look back at what your first attempts, because everybody has shitty first
Yeah,
attempts. You know, like
of
I
course.
remember some of the first stuff. If I could hear it, I didn't even record it. Some of the stuff that I was experimenting with, I remember it, but there's nothing recorded, and
Yeah,
it's cringeworthy.
I
You
wish I didn't record it, honestly.
Yes, I feel the same.
Bob
Yeah.
wrote
Lucky.
something bad.
What's that?
I said Bob wrote something bad. He doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But I have a question for all four of you. And that, I
Okay.
mean, Johnny, Amanda, everybody. Did you ever write a song that you thought, man, this is it. This is the one, and then no one liked it, and you couldn't understand why?
Yeah, pretty
Silent.
much constantly. Yeah.
What was that? What? I missed that.
More or less relentlessly.
Oh, I see. Right.
There's
Oh,
always those moments you'll get, you know, like where you think you wrote something amazing, and then like, you get a little bit of perspective like 24 hours later. You're like, wow, this I don't know what I was thinking at the time. But
Yeah.
you know, like
Were
it's
drugs
just
involved?
all like I think it's in the ear of the beholder. Can you say that? I suppose so. Um, but yeah, like it's all subjective, isn't it? Like what could be absolute trash to someone, like could be really meaningful to another person. So like I don't know, like as long as it gets through to as if it gets through to someone, then I think you know, and it makes their experience better, then I think you've done something cool there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's strange, like that whole validation side of music is it can be quite misleading because you know you'll get a lot of the time like I'll be like scrolling on Instagram and like and someone will have released a song or something and then you just have like hordes of people being like, "This is amazing! Oh my God, how have you done?" And it's just fucking horrible. Like, and you're like, What is this? Come on!" And it makes it makes me think like, wow, these people are like have no idea at all about music, and a lot of time that you know a lot of the time that is true. Like, they don't have any like like idea of what a good song is, and like they'll listen to like horrible things, and I'm thinking like, wow, like if they said that about one of my songs now, I'd feel nothing, you know, because because if they think that's good, then they'll think anything's good. So I I don't know. I try and like separate myself and try and not like strive for so much like validation. I get like I think it's almost better to kind of look inwards and try and get the progress from yourself and if it works out and so, like someone like appreciates your music, then that's a really cool thing too. Like I love when like people have like written to me and they've said something like they've given me an experience that I've made better for them. They're like, wow, this song helped me get with my girlfriend, you know. I think like things like that, you know, like this is like mine and my girlfriend's song. I'm like, wow, that's really touching and nice that you know, like that something I've created has been part of your journey and has helped you do something really cool, like, and develop like a relationship for you. Like that's a really like things like that are really beautiful in music. I like contributing to positive experiences for people, and like that's what it should be about for me.
Well, the whole object of the exercise of writing material is to make people emote, whether it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
happiness, sadness,
completely.
just to think, or say in words what they feel and can't put into words. So
For sure.
emotion is the whole key to it all. I think if you can make
Exactly.
somebody emote in whatever level, then you've achieved your goal.
Yeah, like it's like a cathartic personal experience that then becomes a connecting thing, like on a in a broader sense, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good answers,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Good answers.
I'm always striving to do better all the time.
Well,
Like
it's
it's
the
never
only
good
way.
enough.
Yeah,
You
well,
know?
that's right. Yeah, always strive to be even better, and never relax or rest on your laurels. I did this and it's great, so I can relax now. No, you
Hmm.
carry on trying to improve all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think if you're a true artist, you're always on to the next thing.
Yeah, and always
And
critical of your own work.
hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For
I've
sure.
never been one that's like near enough is good enough, or that
Hmm.
that's it's got to be the best you can do, or forget about it. Yeah, and
Hmm.
Do you
Amanda's
think that
like that
like
too. I know.
do you think that you had like a notable kind of arc of your writing whereby like it just got better and better and better? Like, do you think there was like a time in your life where you thought like, okay, now I'm getting really good at this, or was it like and what kind of led to that? Was it a consistency? Like, did you just keep writing and then get better, or was there something that kind of
Yeah, I think
made
it's a gradual
leapfrog?
process of you
Yeah,
start off and you come up with nonsense or rubbish or whatever, or you look back at what you did then and you think, oh
yeah,
God, like you said, what was I thinking?
yeah,
It was a bit like that, and then you come up with something that's a bit more valid, and then something you come up with and think people actually like it. And I remember when my first real sort of contribution writing wise with the second Widowmaker album, Too Late to Cry, and I had about I don't know 5 or 6 songs on that album, and people were saying, "Oh, I like what you're coming up with." So to me, that was a sign of well, now I'm getting somewhere.
completely.
Yeah, it was. It starts off with like a bit of a co-write where you had a little contribution to partly to a song or something, and you get a writing credit, and then you get something else that's a bit more, and then the next you've written a song by yourself and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's a gradual process, and I don't think there's a point that you get to where you think, "Oh, I'm a writer now. I can," you're always learning and you're always striving for, improvement. Hmm.
Absolutely.
I mean, it gets easier, I suppose. Things flow better with experience, but yeah, yeah, it's still a gradual process, even with after many years.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I think you kind of like personally, I think I take a lot more care now. Like with like you look at lyrics, like yeah, like like what I would used to write. I'm like I would let things slip. Like if there was something that if there was like a line that I couldn't conquer, like but I would never leave in something that I didn't think was adequate anymore. Because like just looking back on it, I don't like looking back and thinking, oh, I could have done better with this line or that line. I like to make sure that like this song is like really
Yeah,
complete.
you should really feel happy within yourself at what you've
Yeah,
done, or look back on
completely.
it and think, well, that's the best I can do. There aren't any improvements to be done. There's no room for improvement. That I've given it my best shot.
Yeah,
Near
exactly.
enough is good enough has never been my war cry.
when I've been writing with like people and projects and stuff, like there's been times like where like I've been with one of my writing partners, Andrew, and we'll take like an hour on a line, and we just can't beat it, you know. And we're like, okay, God, like we've got to get this line now. What is it? And you just there is such a thing of, you know, overthinking and taking too long, and it
Oh,
starts to
sure.
become a little bit, you know, distorted, and then suddenly you hate the whole concept of that line and everything about it, and it becomes more and more warped the more you think about it. And in turn, I think as a byproduct, it attributes so much significance to that line that you can't really go back, and you can't get that perspective back again. So if you just get deeper and deeper into a hole with it, you know, until it just means nothing anymore, and anything you say is just going to be stupid at that point. So it can be like that. So yeah, like there's times where I think you've got to step back a little bit and kind of get a bit of perspective.
Sure.
Otherwise it can be difficult to beat.
Anything I've ever written, I feel like my best stuff just comes all at the same time. Like I can just finish a song all at once, but I don't write happy music. I always tell people that. I write like always like sad blues songs or something like that. So I feel like when I'm definitely in that emotion, that's when I'm able to capture it the best. I only write ballads, and that's always been my thing.
Right. Well, happy
Yeah.
stuff tends to be poppy, doesn't it? So I remember when I was working with Steve Morse on we did the Living Loud album, and he used to laugh because he'd come up with something and I'd say, "Nah, too happy," and he'd laugh because I'd say, "No, it's too happy." But you know, when it's got that mood about it, that either sadness or depth or whatever, you know, that it's not happy because it's not poppy,
Hmm.
and you know, I can relate.
I really like just very dark sounding music or complicated music, I guess. I listen to a lot. My uncle gave it to me, the first Rainbow record, and so Catch the Rainbow off of that. I remember that being like a big one for me, and it's more somber. Um,
Right.
yeah, so I really like. I've always gravitated towards that side of it. And obviously, being a huge Randy fan, you think of, Diary of a Madman. That's like, to me, that's the epitome of sort of, I wouldn't call it fully a rock opera, but it is in its own way, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's got a
Like,
theme
yeah.
to it, the whole thing. Yeah.
So
Yep.
I've always gravitated towards that very specific sound or something very, very somber, like Peter Green.
Well, Gary was a huge Peter Green fan, and you know, they were mates, and I thought Peter Green was one of the best white blues guitarists ever. Mm.
Very lost and sad from what I've read. So
Yeah, well,
yeah,
yeah, he created
felt
that
it.
mood, and that
Mhm.
was from the heart. That was, you know, him emoting for
Mhm.
sure. Love
I
Peter
yeah.
Green's playing. Mm.
I feel like the best songs capture a mood, whether it's happy, energetic, sad, whatever it is, you're capturing a mood. So I really feel like my worst songs are maybe the ones where just sort of was playing around and threw it out there, and then like Jack, I go back and I'm like, God, that was terrible. What was I doing? And for me, I haven't worked with a lot of people on my own music just because no one ever wanted to do what I wanted to do, if that makes sense. It was like, this is our sound, here it is, play this. Whereas my sound or whatever I did was so much different. And so I felt like I kept it to myself for a very long time. And I'm also so particular about what I do. And I'm like, no, I got to do it again. No, it's not good enough. I got to do it again. Got to do it again. Until I have it right and I feel like it's perfected. So in a sense, it's like this catch 22 of Where's Amanda's music? It's all there. There's hundreds of it. Maybe a lot of it terrible. We'll find out. But and I also just want it to be perfect.
But you're unusual, though. You're not your average young person that with musical tastes. There aren't many people of your age that are name Peter Green as a favorite and as an influence and whatever else.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Gilmour is another one of yours, and Richie and Randy and Eddie, and for someone your age, it's quite unusual.
I
Yeah,
mean,
because
all
that's
that,
everybody my age.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
there you go. There you go.
I just always have loved music from that time span, and my uncle gave it to me. I became obsessed. But with Peter Green, it wasn't. I found Peter Green and wanted to sound like him, and I think we had this conversation on the show. I was trying to find someone that sounded like me, so Rory Gallagher and Peter Green. When I heard their music, I felt like, wow, I sound like them. I was just trying to find like an example.
Well, just as well you found them then.
Right?
Yeah, because
Bob, I have one question from Victor in the chat.
Yep.
And it has to do with Randy. He says,
Yeah.
do you think Randy would have left Ozzy after Diary, and did he still have a contract?
He would have left. He wanted to leave. He wanted to go and get his master's degree and study classical music and classical guitar playing. He did want out. He really did. Because I remember, because I wasn't there at the time when the plane crash happened, and Tommy Aldrich was in the band, and when I went back to work with them and with the Bark at the Moon album and the rest of it, Tommy Aldrich said to me, and I still remember his words. He said Randy was desperate to find a way out, and he did. And that's what Tommy Aldrich said. Yeah. So yeah, he definitely wanted out. He wasn't happy with the whole situation. I mean, when Lee and I went, Lee told me that Randy told him that he wanted to leave and be with us, but Lee said to him, "No, don't, stay where you are." He said, "It's going to go big. It's going to do well. Just stay where you are." And Randy listened, but he was unhappy. So it was sad. It was awfully sad the way he went and the way he did leave, but he wanted out. So, yeah. And as far as the contract goes, I guess he was contracted, and there was I think it was some sort of deal that if Randy would agree to do all the Black Sabbath material on a live album, then they would let him out of the contract. I think that might have been Don Arden that deal was with, and so because Randy didn't like Black Sabbath, he wasn't a Black Sabbath fan. He didn't like the material, and he didn't want to do it. And he said, "But okay, I'll do it, but you got to let me out of the contract." And that's what the basis of it was, I think.
My uncle has a question here.
Yeah.
It says, how many songs haven't seen the light of day that Bob wrote and are waiting to come out?
Good question.
Well, which do they mean? I don't know what they mean. Because people ask me sometimes, were there songs left over from Blizzard and Diary, and the answer to that is no. We used everything we had on those two albums.
I think just in general.
In general, well, yeah. There's. I'm always, I'm doing a new Hoochie Coochie Men album at the moment. Tim Gaze, Rob Grosser, and a few nice guests on it as well. Stuff that I did years ago with John Lord. We were going to do another studio album with John Lord, and then he was diagnosed with his illness and died the following year. So that was pretty awful and pretty sad. So, but yeah, we're writing stuff all the time, you know. So there will be another Hoochie Coochie Men album out soon, and then there's stuff that we're writing for our new project with yourself, Amanda, and Jack. So and that'll have some nice guests on it as well. Rob Grosser is probably going to play drums on most of the tracks, and which is one of the tracks that we sent to Amanda just the other day. So, and that is a Peter Green song. So, all good. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
But not the Peter Green that people probably are thinking. Surprise.
Why? Oh, is there another Peter Green? What do you mean? What do you mean? How many Peter
I meant
Greens
like
are there?
just one.
Right.
The Fleetwood Mac. People always cover Fleetwood Mac Peter Green, but not the solo stuff.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. Yeah, this was In the Skies album, a track called Fool No More. But it is really typical of Peter's stuff with early Fleetwood Mac anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack's back.
Yeah, I'm here.
Jack.
Can we ask you a question?
For sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Just because I feel like some people, I'm reading some of the comments. You know, a lot of people tuned in to the Behind the Music because everyone wanted to see what Eddie was like as a dad. What was it like for Gary as a dad? No, we're not like looking for, you know, musician answers. It's just sort of like a lot of people just want to know someone's character because I feel he was interviewed a lot, but it you know, it's not fully out there.
Sure. Yeah, no, I would say that he was a very like caring and loving father. You know, he I think his kids meant the world to him, really. Like a lot of the time, you know, because like, you know, my mom and him were divorced, like, so from a very young age from me, and you know, my mom would be moving across the country, and dad would always make sure he was there. You know, he'd move and just always be there for us, no matter what, and it was cool to, you know, I obviously he died when I was young still. I was still like in my early 20s, but it was really cool to get the chance to really hang out with him like as like a friend as well as a dad, like in those the later years. You know, we would go out a lot together, and like we go to concerts a lot, and like we just hang out as friends in the end, and it was really cool to have that side. Um, and yeah, you know, we were really close, so I miss him every day, you know. But he was a great dad. Like I couldn't fault him. He did everything he could for us, and like made sure that he impacted us in a positive way. We were raised right, and yeah, just a really loving and caring person for sure.
You told me a little bit about, you know, your earliest memories. Was there any memories of, you know, Gary, your dad, giving you music as a kid that it kind of stuck with you?
Yeah, I think the earliest kind of, I always remember this Jimi Hendrix poster like he had. Like I always remember like just walking past it in the hall and being like, who is that? And
Oh, you didn't know who Jimi Hendrix was?
but this is this is like as far back as I can remember. I would have been about like 5 or something.
Oh, see, right.
And I just always remember he had this like Hendrix like picture. Like that's and it kind of, yeah, like it's funny that I remember that because it did become like a theme like later, because we'd sit down and like we both loved Hendrix, so like it was like something that definitely like we explored together. Um, but without that, like I remember going to Tom Petty's ranch with him in America, and Yeah, that sticks out a lot. I remember like Tom Petty giving me a piggyback around his ranch.
Yeah.
Because that must have been like, yeah, that's one of my earliest memories, honestly. Like I would have been like 4 or 5 or something like that. It would have been like 91 or something when he put out Full Moon Fever. And I remember that being on in the car a lot. And that is kind of really those are like the first songs I remember as a kid. Like my mom would say I would strum along to Tom Petty's song, like yeah, like no Wilburys, and
Mm, yeah.
yeah, that was a fantastic album. I always remember that being on in the car. So those are some of my first formative kind of musical memories, I guess. Yeah, like
Well,
traveling
it had to have
Wilburys.
an effect on you, the whole environment, didn't it? Whether Gary sat down with you with a guitar and said, "Here, play this or try this," or not, the general
Yeah.
environment must have had a huge influence on you. Just being
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. I think
Mm.
I think I absorbed so much like without really knowing it,
Yeah,
until like
subliminally. Mm.
subliminally, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Subconsciously there was all kinds of like crazy things being absorbed there that I wasn't really aware of.
Sure.
Uh, but yeah, like some of the people that I was around and some of like yeah, just being around like really just special, influential, creative people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a really amazing time.
I feel
Even
like
as a kid, you kind of pick up on it though. You're like, wow, you're like this person has something about them that's not normal. This is like extra kind of special.
Well, when I was a little kid, I had an older sister, and it was when rock and roll had first been born. We're talking sort of mid to later 50s, and I was a little kid, and she was older than me, and she used to go out and buy all the records of Buddy Holly and the Everly Brothers and Elvis and Ricky Nelson and all that was such a sort of foundation for me to be subjected to. And it really did have an
Really,
influence. So by the time I was 13, 14 and had begun playing, I had all that background stuff, and I used to I used to sit down and wear her records out, trying to learn parts of songs and that. So yeah, your environment is so important, and you had a great environment there to as a foundation and basis.
I feel like you're up, just what you've mentioned. I can hear it in some of the music you play or write, just like a hint of it. Because it's more like you gravitate towards the acoustic, and just the way you pick up on melodies. And I know I mentioned it. I was on Adam Roach's podcast, and
Mm,
just working
yeah.
with you just a little bit, like you pick up on melodies so well, and so it's just very apparent that obviously music's been around your entire life. And I always like to ask that question because I feel like that initial imprint of music does a lot more than you think it does.
Plus, it's got genetic connection. It's
Mm-hmm.
Gary's son. The genes are in there as well. I'm sure that has it makes a contribution to who you are.
Mm-hmm. I think it does anyone's mom or dad. I mean,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at my uncle, and he gave me music. It wasn't necessarily my mom or my dad, but I just
Isn't your
completely
mum a
absorbed that.
musician though?
She sang. Yeah, she was a
Didn't she
singer,
play
and
guitar or something?
just a little bit. Not, she
Right.
didn't go super
Didn't
deep
get
into it.
serious. Right.
Yeah, I remember her when I first got my guitar. Which I actually have it right here. I play it all the time. There you go. This
Oh,
is the
All right.
wait. Let's see that. Say that again.
My blue
Blue
guitar.
Strat.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, I was telling Ron we're gonna do more guitar, content on the show. So
Right?
very cool.
It's my first one. When I got this one, I remember my mom taking it from me and showing me how to play Smoke on the Water. I was like my very beginning of my guitar playing. Thanks,
Is
Mom.
that the one you got when you were 11 or 12 or whatever it was?
Yeah, this is the one that I picked out of the ad, and
Right.
it's still all there. I did take out the original pickups. I still have them, but I put in 70s pickups. So I got two two off of a 76, and then the bridge is a 78. So
Cool.
it definitely not only sounds like Ritchie Blackmore Strats, but it radios in radio stations like a Strat from the 70s. So yeah,
That's
all
cool.
sorts of buzzing.
That is really cool.
Got my Spinal Tap moments going on at all times.
Oh dear. I mean, listen
There
to
you
that.
go.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's a radio station. That's not my music. Yeah. That's happened before in my room. Like, oh, that's not it.
Yeah. Yeah.
More questions?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Spinal Tap, Amanda, when we were down there, for the Sammy Hagar, the next day we went to Norman's Rare Guitars.
Oh, that's
know.
a good
And the
shop.
Spinal Tap
Yeah, yeah.
guitars.
Yeah, that's the shop that basically Spinal Tap the movie. All those guitars are from that
From
shop.
Norm's. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've been to Norm's
So.
before. Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that all the guitars were from there.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that shop was in a strip mall.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that, because you always see the videos and from inside you never see like outside,
Right. Uh-huh. Yeah, he's been around a long time, Norm's, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, Norm's shop. Yeah.
That's where Eddie bought his Les Paul from. And a Strat. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's got it
yeah,
all.
they have a photo there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bob, I have a question for you, Bob.
Yeah.
On Blizzard,
Yeah.
some of them you had the ones that everybody knows, the songs are listed. Then later on you were able to get one that had the Me Looking at You Looking at Me song on it. What is there a story behind that?
Well, that was one of the first songs that we put together. I think Goodbye to Romance was the very first, I think, as far as I remember. And You Looking at Me, Looking at You was, I think it was about the second song we put together. It was going to go on the album. And then because when Lee joined, he hadn't been part of the writing process at all because he came in at the end. So we thought, well, we'll do one with Lee and put a song together so that he can have a writing credit. And we did No Bone Movies.
Mm-hmm.
And because that we thought it turned out well, and we thought, well, we'll put that on the album and use You Looking at Me, Looking at You as a B-side for the first single. I think the first single was Crazy Train. And your question is, what was You Looking at Me, Looking at You about?
Well,
Is that...
yeah, like was there a story behind it or?
Oh, it's just a general sort of relationship thing of lack of communication, the usual thing that are quite often common, You looking at me, looking at you, I want to talk to you. It was just sort of relationship breakdown or communication breakdown, that sort of thing,
I'm my younger years, I was in touch with that emotion.
Oh, sure, it's a common emotion, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's all if you get Bob's book, for fact's sake, all your answers and all the questions you could ever want are in this magical book.
There you go, everybody.
That is free advertising here on Johnny Bean TV.
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah.
There you go.
It's true. I went into
You still have the link for that, Johnny?
Yeah. Where's the book available? Where can people get
Amazon.
Amazon.
For fact's sake, yeah. Yeah, it's I went into great detail because, well, first of all, I have a very good memory. I was blessed with that. Secondly, I took literally thousands of photographs, and I trimmed it down to, I think there's about 380 photos in the book. and thirdly, I kept a diary since the mid-70s, so everything I could look up dates and with accuracy, so which is why it's called For Fact's Sake, because it's factual. There's no guesswork or sort of mistakes or inaccurate things in it. It's just all factual. Yeah, which a lot of work went into it. Sitting reading diaries for hours and hours and going through thousands of photographs for hours and hours, and then writing it and editing and rewriting. But I was pleased with the outcome at the end of it. I mean, it took me about 2.5 years to actually write it all. And at the end of it, I thought, blimey, did all this happen to one person in one lifetime? It's been a pretty eventful life.
I have
you ain't
another
kidding on that one.
question.
Yeah.
There's a track where Gary collaborated with Ozzy. Do you know how that came about?
Well, the Gary and Ozzy and Sharon and all that, it was all a Jet Records family sort of thing. Gary had been on Jet Records. Ozzy was on Jet Records. Ozzy actually wanted Gary to join his band after Sabbath, but Gary said he wouldn't, because Ozzy had the reputation of doing drugs and drinking a lot and all that. And Gary said, well, I've just left one of those, meaning Phil Lynott. Mm-hmm. And so he didn't want to get back into that, but he agreed to help Ozzy find a guitarist, or at least watch the auditions and see who he thought was good, because Ozzy respected Gary's opinion. But and so there was always the connection there. Everybody knew everybody and had been off and on under the same roof. So. That was Lead Clones, wasn't it? That song that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Ozzy sang on Gary's album. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
I remember him being very fond of that. He showed me it a few times. He found it really amusing.
Right.
Because yeah, it's about like just a bunch of bands back then just copying Led Zeppelin, right?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, just taking the piss out of that.
Yeah.
Once again with the Jimmy Page. There we go.
Awesome.
I'll probably go soon, because we've been on them for over an hour and a half. But
yeah.
Any more final questions or anything, or things that you need to cover?
Just Amanda, you see any in the chat?
Any questions from people writing in or anything?
Someone did ask, like, it was way, way far up, but what our album is about.
Our album, what it will be about.
Yeah.
Peas.
I was going to say the same thing.
Peas and love.
Bob, there is the question I asked you before the show started about the Bark at the Moon.
Oh, yeah.
That question was also asked in here by Martin. You want to go over that again?
What's his actual question?
It was, did Jake write that song, or you and Jake?
It was me and Jake. Yeah. Well, Jake and I wrote all that stuff. Some of it I wrote a little bit more than him. Some of it he wrote more than me. He had riffs and chord progressions and things when he came into the band already, but they weren't finished songs. I know sometimes in interviews he said, "Oh, well, I came in and I had all the songs written." No, he didn't. And I remember being in New York. We had done the US Festival in San Bernardino in '83, and from there we went to New York, and we were in New York several weeks writing material for Bark at the Moon. Jake he was new in the band. He'd only just come in, and that was the first album that we were going to do since Randy had been killed. And so obviously, Randy Rhoads is a hard act to follow, but Jake was great. And he was a great player and he had great ideas. And I was trying to encourage him. And I remember being in the hotel room at the end of the writing sessions in New York. We continued in London just after that, but the writing sessions in New York, the last night we were there, we were in maybe the tour manager's hotel room or whatever it was. A few of us in there. Ozzy was in there, Jake. And I just wanted to encourage Jake and give him a sort of thumbs up kind of thing. And I said, "You're doing great, Jake. It's sounding really good. You got great riffs. You got good ideas." And he said, "Yeah, but you turn them into songs." That's what he said to me. I still remember his words, and which was really nice, But he tends to forget that nowadays, I think. But yeah, how it was the writing process was Jake and I would sit on a chair opposite each other. He'd have a riff or chord progressions, and we'd work it out. And I'd put parts in, or would change bits, or enhance bits, or whatever. and then Ozzy would sing over what we did as a basic arrangement. I would take the tape away with Ozzy's vocal melody and his phrasing on it, and fit lyrics to it. And that's how the whole album was done.
So there you go, Martin.
Nice. There you go. There you go, Martin. Okay. So, what? One more question, I think?
Yeah, go on.
One more is good.
Go ahead, man. Pick one.
Yeah.
I'm picking one?
Yeah.
Can I? Wait. I have to shoot.
You have shoes?
My shoes.
What? Oh.
Thank you. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So that way he can see them. Okay, I'll find a question here.
B9, thank you. Yeah. By the way, thank you guys for the raid. We saw that. Let's see.
It says someone asked, "Does Bob freelance and still write lyrics for others?" I freelance, Bob.
Well, I have sent some sets of lyrics that I had kind of as leftover stuff. I remember going to LA early 90s and writing some lyrics for Ozzy that ended up not being used, and I still had them, so I sent them to Amanda. We might use some of those on our album. So yes, I still write lyrics, I still write music, I still write songs, I still record. I just don't tour anymore. I had a lot of touring through the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And those days are over for me, the live stuff, the touring, especially nowadays, and the way the world is, it's changed so much, But, when we were touring in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was so much different, but they put a stop to that.
Yeah. I got a quick question for you, Bob. Like earlier, I asked you about writing, and if you write, for an album and then you tour and everything. Like, do you have a schedule? Like when you get up, is there like a time of day where you write like every day or?
Oh no. There's no set sort of schedule or plan or anything like that. It's just sometimes I'll just hang on one second. Hello. I'm in the middle of an interview. I'll call you back. Sorry, I got a phone call.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's just a matter of sometimes I'll have an idea just pop into my head, and a lyric idea or a song idea, and I'll jot it down, or I'll play it and record it on a little handheld or something like that, and get back to it when I'm in the mood. So there's no sort of I get up, I have breakfast, and at 9:30 I'll write a song. It's never like that.
Would that be easier that way if you could?
No, I don't think so. Not for me. No.
Writing lyrics to songs is not easy, people.
Oh no,
I mean,
no. And that is something that does come with time, where you notice yourself improving or getting more of a handle on it. So, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So I think we're good. Jack Moore. Great to meet you. Great to
Yes.
meet
too.
you.
Likewise. Pleasure.
nice to meet you, Jack.
And
You too.
and you're welcome. Come back anytime. And really looking forward to
Yeah, thanks for having us,
your,
guys.
your project.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, maybe we
Yeah,
can
we'll
do
have
it
a lot
again
more
when
news
we
soon.
start recording
sure.
and get stuff happening.
Definitely.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
that would be great. Sneak peek of some of the music on the show.
Sneak
Yeah.
peek. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
we haven't got we haven't settled on a name for the band yet, but obviously when the album comes out, we'll have to. So we're still kicking ideas around for a name for the band. So.
Cool.
Amanda and the Legends.
No. I'm like the lowest on the totem pole.
The Blizzard of Amanda.
Blizzard of Peas.
Yeah.
I already made the poster, so we're already set.
It's etched in stone.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, love to
Cool.
everybody, and we'll do it again. Good to see you all. And
Take care, guys.
Yeah. I'll be speaking to you, Jack and Amanda on the phone
sure.
sometime. We'll organise a call and have a chat.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. We'll catch up
Yeah,
soon.
yeah.
Thanks so much, guys. It's been a
Great
pleasure.
stuff. Good stuff. All right. Take
All
it
right.
easy.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
See you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everything. Channel members, thank you for your continued support for this channel and these shows. And subscribe to the channel. Watch another video. And Amanda, thank you. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for joining us. And
Amanda, you're great. Just tell
I
me.
love.
You're
I've
great.
always loved coming on here. Thank you. I always love coming on here. I've been coming on here since obviously Bob came on here. If anyone knows that, a lot of these people have been following you, Johnny, for a long time, so they know. So I'm happy to. I held up these boots because these are the boots that if you see the pictures of them as the Blizzard of Oz, where Randy's on Ozzy's shoulders, these are the boots Bob was wearing in those photos.
Uh-oh.
So I was like, Blizzard of Boots. Maybe that's our band name.
Blizzard of Boots. There you go.
Hey, Amanda, those would look really good right there next to that guitar. That's where my wine was going to go, but you got it instead. So.
Sorry. I thought he was going to.
He's supposed to send me one, yeah.
I'm so sorry. Laz came running up to me and he gave it to me. So.
Yeah.
Well, he had
sorry.
it for how long did he have it, Johnny? Like 6 weeks, something like that. He kept saying, "I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send it to you." I said, "Okay." Then he's like, "Well, you know what? I'm giving yours to Amanda." I'm like, "Okay."
I'm sorry. I'll siphon it out to you and like.
That's good. He's sending me one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Ron, if you do come out here for the NAMM show, you'll definitely see Laz, and you'll definitely see us, and so you'll get your your stuff.
How about this? I'll give you a trade. I will send you a print of my uncle's photo. Oh, one of the photos of Randy Rhoads. How about that?
There you go.
He's like, oh, okay.
Nice.
Goes on the wall.
It goes on the wall. Yeah. Sorry, the boots stay here.
Just one. Just one. I'll split them with you.
There's other boots back here. I have a table full of boots right now.
Oh man.
Cool. You guys, thank you. Amanda, great to see you down in LA a couple weeks ago.
At the Sammy Hagar show. Awesome.
Ron, great to see you yesterday. I'll probably see it tomorrow. You guys, thank you again for watching these shows. Watch another one, you guys, and everything. So, and yeah, thank you for the raid, you guys. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Peace out, everybody.
I'll play this one. This is pretty cool. Amanda, you'll like this. All right. Okay. Goodbye, you guys. Johnny Bean TV. Bye-bye.
I just want to be like, how old are you?
Hey, it's Lori Tucker and
Johnny Bean.
And we're here at the Forum, and we're going to see
Sammy Hagar.
And you're watching Johnny Bean TV. Stay tuned.